Hey everyone, this is Pranav, Developer Relations at Router Protocol, and I welcome you all to the module 9 of learning Router Nitro. In this module, we'll be importing all the necessary modules, we'll be getting the code and actually executing the transaction. So it's going to be a fully hands-on session. So I request you all to bring your laptops, grab a cup of coffee and start coding. So the first thing that we have to do is import all the necessary modules from the SDK into our code base. So let me write import. There are three modules which basically we need to import. So first we have to import Pathfinder. The second module which we need to import is network. There's one more module which we have to import, that is called EVM signer. So let me import EVM signer from private key and RPC from Router Protocol Asset Transfer SDK. So these are the three modules which we need to import from the SDK. And so the next step is to actually initialize the Pathfinder. So for that, let me write const Pathfinder. I don't want it to be caps lock. Let me make it small. Is equal to new Pathfinder, and it takes two parameters. The first is network.testnet, because we are working on testnet right now. If you're working on mainnet, you can change it accordingly, but for this tutorial we'll be working on testnet, so I have given the parameter as network.testnet. And the second parameter it takes is the widget ID. Grab your widget ID by visiting the Telegram channel of Router Protocol. For now, let's keep it 24. So right now we have just initialized the Pathfinder. The next step is to actually code the main function, in which we'll be writing the logic for the asset transfer. So let me write const main is equal to async, and let me make it an arrow function. So here we'll be writing the asset transfer logic. Great. So inside the main function, first we have to build the EVM signer. So basically you need to construct an EVM signer object using your private key and the RPC endpoint. So this signer will be used for signing transactions during asset transfer. In this tutorial, we'll be transferring 10 AFTD tokens from Fuji chain to the Holosky chain. So for that, let me write const EVM signer. Const EVM signer is equal to EVM signer from private key and RPC. And it takes two parameters. The first parameter is the private key. So let me paste my private key over here. The second parameter it takes is the endpoint RPC endpoint. So the user will be signing the transaction from the Fuji chain. So let me copy the RPC for the Fuji chain and paste it over here. Great. So make sure to replace it with your private key, and make sure that you are not using the private key which you use for normal purposes. The next step is to get the code. So the concept is Router Nitro enables you to interact with Nitro contracts and initiate cross-chain token transfers. So the first step in this process is to request a quote, which basically provides you with all the necessary details about the proposed token transfer. So request a quote from Pathfinder for the desired token transfer, specifying source and destination chain IDs, token addresses, amount of assets to be transferred. So in our case, we'll be transferring 10 AFTD tokens. So let's write the code for it. So let me write const quote is equal to await Pathfinder dot get quote, and it takes several parameters. The first parameter it takes is source chain ID. So right now we are working with Fuji chain. The source chain is Fuji chain. So let me give the chain ID for it, which is 43113. And let me just come down. Oops. The second parameter it takes it source token address. Source token address. Source token address. So let me just give the source token address of the AFTD tokens on Fuji chain. So here is the token address. So the next parameter it takes is destination chain ID. So let me give destination chain ID, and we have 17,000, which is the chain ID of Holosky chain. And next it takes is destination token address, which is the token address of AFTD tokens on the Holosky chain. So let me give the address for that. So the next parameter it takes is the amount of tokens that we want to transfer. So for that, the parameter is expanded input amount. So I want to send 10 AFTD tokens from 4G chain to Holosky chain. So let me write 10 followed by 18 zeros because it's of 18 decimal places. This is how we get the code. So actually this thing has to be enclosed in the form of objects. So let me enclose it within the curly braces. Great. So this is how we get the code. And the next thing that we have to do is actually execute the transaction. For that, let me write const transaction is equal to await pathfinder dot execute code, and here we need to give an object. Which takes the quote, and it also takes slippage tolerance. Let it be 1 for now. It takes the sender address. So sender address is basically the wallet address that is sending the AFTD tokens. So let me paste my sender address. Then it takes the receiver address as well. So I want to send it to the same address. So let me just paste it over here. That's it. There's one more object which it takes as parameter, which is the EVM signer. So let me just give EVM signer over here. So this is the main function. Next, we just need to call the main function. So let me just call it. Great. So this is the whole code which you can see. First, we have imported these 3 modules. Then we have initialized the pathfinder. Then this is the main function in which we have written the asset transfer logic. First, we have created an EVM signer object. Then we are getting the code over here. And then we are actually executing the transaction over here. So let me just comment here to make it more clear. Getting code. And here we are executing the transaction. So let me write executing the transaction. Let's do one more thing. Let's console.log the code as well. Now let's run the code. In order to run the code, we need to write yarn ts node index.ts. But before that, let me open my MetaMask wallet. So it's Avalanche Fuji testnet. As you can see, I've got 33.99 AFTT, right? So if I go to Holosky, I've got 6 AFTT. So when I do the transaction, it will be 23.99 AFTT tokens in Avalanche Fuji testnet, and here it will be 16 AFTT. So let's do the transaction now. Let me come over here and press enter. So this is the code as you can see over here, and let's wait. So it says done in 9.12 seconds. So it's literally very fast. So now if I open my MetaMask wallet and show you, if I go to Avalanche Fuji testnet, here you can see it's 23.99 in AFTT. If I go to Holosky, it's 16 AFTT. So our code actually worked. So it's pretty easy, just few import statements, few lines of code. By just getting the code, executing the transaction, we were actually able to send the AFTT tokens from Fuji chain to Holosky chain. So I request you all to check out the code in the cookbook, and see you in the next one.